At 14, I was kicked out because of a lie. 20 years later, my sister's deathbed confession revealed she'd framed me for stealing $8,000 from her college fund to pay someone who was threatening her, and the forged police reports she filed had left me with a criminal record I spent 2 decades trying to clear. My name is Marcus Bennett. I'm 34 years old, and this is the story of how my sister's accusation destroyed my childhood, how 2 decades of estrangement ended with a hospital room confession, and how a fraud so systematic had created a criminal record I never knew existed until it almost cost me everything. I need to go back to June 2004. I was 14 years old. We lived in a small house in Spokane, Washington. My parents, David and Carol Bennett, both worked at the local post office. Stable jobs, modest income, normal family. I had one older sister, Melissa. She was 17. Senior year of high school. Cheerleader, popular, everything I wasn't. Melissa had always been the favorite, the daughter who could do no wrong. I'd been the afterthought, the son they'd had just in case. That June had started like any other summer. School had just ended. I'd been excited for break. Then, on a Tuesday afternoon, everything had collapsed. I'd been in my room playing video games when my parents had burst in. Both of them, faces red, furious. "Marcus, get down here, now," my dad had ordered. I'd followed them to the living room. Melissa had been sitting on the couch, crying, mascara running down her face. "Tell us the truth," my mom had demanded. "About what?" I'd asked, genuinely confused. "Melissa told us something horrible, and we need to hear your side," my dad had said. "What did she say?" I'd questioned, looking at Melissa. She'd avoided my eyes. "My college fund, the $8,000 Grandma left me. It's gone. And I told them you stole it." The room had tilted. "What? That's insane. That's a lie." "Don't you dare call your sister a liar," my mom had shouted. "She is lying. I've never touched her college money. I wouldn't," I'd protested desperately. "Marcus, there's a police report. Melissa filed one this morning. She has proof, a pawn shop receipt with your name. She says you've been stealing from her for months to buy things," my dad had stated, his voice shaking with rage. "No, that's not true. I've never stolen anything. I've never been to a pawn shop," I'd insisted, backing away. "The police have evidence, a receipt with your signature, security footage being reviewed. This is serious. This is criminal," my mom had said. "I didn't do anything. She's making this up. Why would she say that?" I'd yelled. Melissa had sobbed louder. "Stop lying, Marcus. Just admit it. You took my future." "I didn't do anything," I'd screamed. My dad had grabbed me by the arm. "Pack your things. You're not staying in this house." "Dad, please. I swear I didn't do this. Please believe me," I'd begged. "I believe my daughter. Who says her brother stole from her?" "Get out," my dad had stated coldly. "Where am I supposed to go? I'm 14, I'd cried. "That's not my problem anymore. You should have thought about that before you did this," my dad had replied. Within an hour, I'd been standing on the sidewalk, backpack of clothes, nowhere to go. I'd walked to my friend Jake's house. His mom, Mrs. Patterson, had let me stay the night. The next day, Child Protective Services had shown up. My parents had reported me as a runaway. But when I'd told them why I'd left, they'd investigated. "Marcus, these are serious allegations. Do you understand what your sister is accusing you of?" the caseworker had asked. "Yes, and it's not true. I never stole from her. I don't know why she's saying this," I'd explained. They'd interviewed Melissa. She'd stuck to her story. "Marcus has been threatening me for months, saying if I told anyone, he'd hurt me. He needed money for video games and things." They'd offered me a polygraph. I'd taken it, passed, but my parents hadn't cared. Polygraphs aren't admissible. Melissa wouldn't lie about something like this. The police had investigated. The pawn shop receipt had been forged. Handwriting analysis proved it wasn't mine. But the damage was done. Without physical evidence of me actually committing the crime, charges were dropped. But CPS determined I couldn't go home. My parents wouldn't allow it. I'd been placed in foster care, bounced between 3 homes over the next 4 years. At 18, I'd aged out of the system, gotten a job at a warehouse, worked my way up, eventually went to community college, then Washington State University, graduated in 2015 with a business degree. By 2024, I was a regional manager for a logistics company, made $95,000 a year, had my own apartment in Seattle, built a decent life. But I'd never forgotten, never forgiven, never understood why Melissa had destroyed me. I hadn't spoken to my family in 20 years. Blocked numbers, avoided Spokane, pretended they didn't exist. Then, in September 2024, I'd gotten a call from an unknown Spokane number. I'd almost declined it, but something had made me answer. "Marcus? Marcus Bennett?" a woman's voice had asked, weak, strained. "Who is this?" I'd replied. "It's me, Melissa. Please don't hang up," she'd said. Every muscle in my body had tensed. "Why are you calling me?" "I'm dying. Cancer. Stage 4. I have maybe 2 weeks left. I need to talk to you. Please. There's something you need to know," Melissa had explained, her voice breaking. "I don't need to know anything from you. You destroyed my life with a lie," I'd stated coldly. "I know, and I'm so sorry. But Marcus, please, there's more. Something you don't know. Something I need to tell you before I die. Please come see me. Just once," Melissa had begged. Against every instinct, I'd agreed. I'd driven to Spokane the next day, went to Sacred Heart Medical Center, room 412. Melissa had been in bed, frail, bald from chemo, barely recognizable. "Marcus," she'd whispered when I'd walked in. "I'm here. Talk," I'd said, not sitting down. "I'm sorry. For everything. For what I did to you. For the lie. For ruining your life," Melissa had started, tears streaming. "Why? Why did you do it?" I'd demanded. "Because I stole the money. Not you. Me. And I needed someone to blame," Melissa had admitted. "Who did you give it to?" I'd asked. "My boyfriend, Trevor. He was 23. He had been threatening me for months, said if I didn't pay him back the $8,000 I owed him, things would get very dangerous for me. I was terrified. I had nowhere to turn. I panicked. So I took the college fund to pay him off. And when Mom and Dad found out the money was gone, I needed someone to blame immediately. And I chose you," Melissa had confessed, sobbing. "You framed your 14-year-old brother to protect yourself?" I'd said, my voice barely controlled. "I was 17 and scared, and I made the worst decision of my life. I didn't think it through. I didn't realize how bad it would get, how much it would hurt you," Melissa had said weakly. "You got me kicked out, labeled a thief, put in foster care. I lost my entire childhood because of your lie," I'd stated. "I know, and I'm sorry. I've lived with that guilt every single day for 20 years, Melissa had replied. I'd turned to leave. "Thanks for the confession. I hope it helps you die with a clear conscience." "Marcus, wait. There's more. Something else you need to know," Melissa had called out. "What else could there possibly be?" I'd challenged. "The police report. The one I filed. I didn't just accuse you of one theft. I filed multiple reports over 2 years, 2004 to 2006. Every time I needed money, I'd claim you stole something from me. Jewelry, electronics, cash. I'd forge pawn receipts, file police reports. The police started a file on you," Melissa had revealed. My blood had run cold. "You did what?" "There's a criminal file in Spokane County with your name. Multiple theft reports from 2004 to 2006. I forged all of it, but it's still on record. It's been affecting you. Background checks, job applications. You probably didn't even know," Melissa had said, sobbing now. "Why are you telling me this now?" I'd demanded. "Because you deserve to know. Because you need to clear your name. I've written a full confession, notarized. It's with my lawyer. He'll give it to you after I die. You can use it to expunge everything. I'm so sorry," Melissa had explained. I'd left without another word, driven back to Seattle. 3 weeks later, Melissa had died. Her lawyer had contacted me, given me the confession. I'd taken it to the Spokane Police Department, requested my file. What I'd found had been devastating. 7 police reports filed between 2004 and 2006, all claiming I'd stolen from Melissa. Total alleged theft, $18,000. None had led to arrests. I'd been a minor in foster care, and the evidence was always questionable. But the reports existed, created a pattern, affected background checks for 20 years without me even knowing. I'd spent 6 months working with lawyers, police, and the court system. Using Melissa's confession and forensic analysis of the forged documents, I'd gotten everything expunged. My record was finally clean. 20 years after it had been destroyed. My parents had tried to reach out, apologize. "We didn't know. Melissa confessed everything before she died. We're so sorry." "You chose to believe lies about your 14-year-old son without question. You threw me away based on accusations you never once verified. That tells me everything I need to know about who you are. We're done," I'd told them. Here's what I learned. Some people will sacrifice the ones closest to them to protect themselves. And being family does not make that any less of a betrayal. Melissa destroyed my childhood to protect herself from the consequences of her own choices. That was not a moment of panic. That was a decision she made every single day she stayed silent for 20 years. I also learned that the truth has its own timeline, and we don't get to control it. For 20 years, I carried the weight of a lie I never told. Only when death stood at her door did Melissa finally speak. Some truths arrive too late to undo the damage, but they still matter. Because living with a cleared name, even 20 years later, feels different than living under someone else's lie. And the most important thing I learned? Your name is yours. Guard it. Check it. Know what is attached to it. Because the world makes decisions about who you are based on records and documents. And those records can be wrong. They can be forged. They can be built entirely out of someone else's fear. A piece of paper with your name on it does not make you guilty. But it can follow you silently for decades if you do not fight for the truth. I rebuilt my life from a sidewalk at 14 years old. No family, no money, no safety net. Just a decision, made by a terrified kid with a backpack, that I was not going to let someone else's lie be the last word on who I was. That decision saved my life, and it is the only thing I would tell my 14-year-old self if I could go back. You are not what they accused you of. You are what you do next. If this story touched your heart, hit that like button and tell me which country you're watching from. I love hearing from all of you. Subscribe so you never miss these powerful stories about false accusations, delayed justice, and rebuilding your life from nothing. New story every single day. See you in the next one. Take care.